Salam, greetings. This is everybody's semi-favorite teacher on ecologies and the matters and understanding of the collective, which is something that is becoming a more easier to understand body of knowledge these days, which are the days of convergence, as I call them. Let me put that down on the board. If I make a spelling mistake, forgive me. It's a little bit difficult for me to handle the board and the camera at the same time. To have better equipment, I just hold it in my hand. Convergence is when everything basically comes together. All histories, knowledge, culture, everybody, everything at this one point in time and space. So you have like all history coming together, cultures coming together, times, history basically, and information, knowledge that we have gained of various fields, info, knowledge of various fields, and I'd say not times, but more like uh, space and mapping. We are mapping everything all at once. In fact, as part of this emergence, another word that I should write down, as part of this phenomena that is emerging, we map such things as the human genome and etc. So we are getting all sorts of maps, like we're understanding everything all at once. Like this is it. And we can zoom in on things and zoom out of things, but like this is it. Convergence is more like this is it, folks. Okay, this is it. Yeah, sorry. I do have difficulty writing when I'm behind the camera. So we are in times of convergence. This in itself, if you understand it, is big. And in this day and age of data coming in from all sides, we're like, oh yeah, we get it, we get it, we get it. We get everything all at once. Oh yes. Right? And then there are people who resist it. There can be two approaches: resist or accept. I'm not saying that you accept something that is bad and make it your own, and you don't resist that which is wrong or evil or unacceptable, because there are things that are de facto, that things that don't work with being human, such as poisonous food, for example. I'm just going to give a neutral example, right? But when I say acceptance, this means to understand, yes, this happens. Like, not eat poisonous food, for example, but accept that it exists. Once you accept it, you can then either work on it, or embrace it. It's like an algorithm. Something comes in, you're sorting. If it is a plus or neutral, you say yes. If it is a minus, you say no. Accept means you process that. Process. Sort. You take the junk in. You've got to be a real titan of the soul to be able to sort that junk. some people are not able to do it. And sometimes individuals are not able to do that in their capacity, guaranteed, accepted, and understood. And so they have to organize, and then somebody has to lead them, tell them how or what to process. And then there are people like literally down the line of comprehension and facing the world who are just told what to do. And I suppose there always will be those. I was once hopeful enough or wishful enough or deluded enough to think that there would come a time when everybody would have sort of like an equal understanding. But I understood later on that people don't understand things. It's you who becomes enlightened or not. So this is it. This in itself is a huge lesson. So maybe I'm going to keep it separate before I jump to my subject of the day, non-gendered polarities and their impact on human and planetary life. There's so much to talk about before I get to that. So let this be a little component where I've just briefly talked about convergence. This is it. Accept and resist, work on it. And, so here you are. And the world is now coming at you. So you need to process that. Or try and build a shield as some people are building, or there can be an in-between method where you are in between, okay, in between total exposure and total lockdown, or porous, I would say, breathing boundaries. Okay, I should make that a thing. Boundaries that breathe. I come up with all these phrases while I'm thinking and talking. Boundaries that breathe. Like, these paintings or pictures that kids tend to draw of their fantasy mountain home, and then you can have like a fence around it or something. A natural fence. That's a good example of a porous boundary. So you mark your territory, but then you are not completely cut off from the world under like a plastic dome or something. So you don't do that. Nope, doesn't know. But you build your own ecology. Microecology, I should say. Microecology, micro climate, and generate your own, as we call it, aura and energy that potentially repels malevolent forces. Malevolent. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh yeah, there's a million malevolent." That's just a joke. So here we go. And my websites are hubb'Allah.com and the Salam Matrix. I am working on other projects as well, which you might have seen, but these are my primary projects. The one that is more ready than the other is the Salam Matrix. I'm not always able to update everything, but I am bringing all this together, hoping that I have a central repository of updated knowledge from which it is dispersed across my social media where you can catch it. And it's been a bit challenging for me because I've been talking about these big themes that have been very difficult to talk about because a lot of people didn't even know about words and concepts like convergence and ecology. And if you said something was coming together, they said, no, it's going to happen in like 50 years, or 30 years, or 100 years, or 100,000 years, according to whatever mythology that they read. And I said, well, first thing you need to know, if you remember your science lessons, is time is relative. Okay, time is relative plus time can be manipulated. Remember, they used to ask us these questions in school, like if 10 people can make like 10 bricks in an hour, how many bricks can 20 people make? If they work at the same speed with same efficiency, 20 bricks. And if it takes 10 people to make 100 sandwiches in 10 minutes, how long is it going to take 20 people? Sandwiches in 10 minutes. How long is it going to take 20 people to make 100 sandwiches? And the answer is 5 minutes. So you can shrink time. Okay. You put, I don't know, I think 100 people would make that in a minute. Yeah, in 1 minute. I think so, yeah. And so we can shrink time when more people get bored. So as more people awaken to all this, and the speed of the input of the data also increases, and our understanding and processing also increases, we shrink time incredibly. So it gets like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 second flash, until it'll seem like it was yesterday. Like when you really reach awakening, you're like, oh, I've known it all along, but it actually took you a lot of time processing. But if your awakening is really fast enough, you're like, phew. It's kind of what happens to people at the end of their life as well. Like they begin to really understand things, which they've seen all along, and then they're suddenly like, oh, man, I understand what I've seen all along anyway. And so that is because you don't have any more time to uh, waste or borrow. And so you're like, okay, I reached my understanding very quickly in 1 second. So you can truly compress time. So if you read something in some religious text that you hold very dear, that this dark age is going to last for 100,000 years, then please also remember that a year on Mars, for example, is different from a year on Earth. So a year of which planet, by the way? Year of which heavenly realm? Okay? And human beings have been given the formula in sacred scriptures to compress time. So the more formula you understand, the more you understand the algorithm which is given, as I assert, in sacred texts and in life all around you, you will begin to compress time and you will reach understanding very quick.